Welcome back to LETR G Custom Baits on YouTube. I'm Joe Gentry, and today we're going to paint this 5-inch bluegill glide. This is actually one of my favorite baits to paint and actually one of my favorite baits to throw. I have a video on my channel of me throwing this bait here in the neighborhood pond, catching some pretty good bass with it. So let's get started. I'm going to be painting this bait with a handful of different colors. I'll have them up on the screen as we go along. Stick with me and let's see if we can do this. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and clip this over the tail. This is one of my little custom tail covers I made. And it's just contoured to the back of that bait. Clip it on, clip it off. So if you're painting and say you want to add some paint to a tail or something like that, or you just don't need the masking on there for whatever reason, you can take it off, put it back on pretty quickly rather than having masking tape or something on there. Nothing wrong with masking tape, but it's just the way I do it, and I have several different models I made, and I actually have a video on my channel on how I make those, so I'll link that video in the description. So now that we have that masked, I'm going to be using a few different methods in this video that are kind of the same methods I use when I paint replica fish. So first off, we're going to take some of this opaque black from Createx, and we're going to paint the whole bait. So when you're painting baits with 3D texture like this, one thing you want to make sure you do when you're painting this step, when you're doing this step, is paint kind of against the grain, so you get all that black paint and all the crevices and stuff. It's kind of the opposite of when you're wanting to add shade detail to the scales, where you want to hit it from the front. You want to be painting it kind of from the rear, so it gets in all those scale pockets. And you don't need to do anything super fancy here. You just kind of darken the whole bait in. You can get the fins and everything. Just get good coverage. If it's splotchy or one area is, thicker than others, it's really not going to make a difference after we do the next step. All right, so now that this is completely blackened in, we can take that masking off for a minute, pop it out of this. And the next step, let me see if I can grab some real quick. This is just 4/0 super fine steel wool. Got a little mess of it in my drawer here. We're just gonna lightly start. I had to move this off. It's the steel wool kind of falls apart. So I don't want to get it all over my paint area, all over that paper towel. But basically you just want to start rubbing it until some of that paint starts coming off, and you can take this as far as you want. You can leave a lot of paint on there, or you can take most of it off. That's the good thing about this technique. It kind of naturally leaves a lot of paint in the scale pockets. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm going to take a little bit more off. All right, now that we have the tail masked again, we're going to take some Createx opaque white, and we're going to kind of whiten that belly up and just kind of barely fade it up over the edges here on the sides on each side. A little bit on the sides of the cheeks of the gill area, and just a light dusting across the whole body just to kind of dull it out just a hair. And that's what we're left with. All right, next we're going to take this yellow color. It's just a generic yellow from the Amazon set. It really doesn't make a difference what brand or whatever. It's just kind of a generic yellow. You can kind of see it on the paper towel there where I test sprayed. I'm going to paint the top half of this bluegill and kind of fade it down into the belly area on both sides and along the top. And basically what I'm doing is just creating a layer Because you never really want to look at a reference. Say if you're painting a bluegill or a shad or anything, and you want to look up, you look up a bluegill on Google or whatever on the internet, and you say to yourself, well, that bluegill looks green, chances are you're never going to get the best finish. You're never going to get the best finished product with just taking a green paint and painting it on there. So you want to layer colors. And the best thing I've found, especially for like bluegill and bass, and it's the same thing again, like another kind of technique I use for replicas, is if you put yellow on there first, then you can put your green on, whatever green you choose, and you can kind of fade it up into the back and darken it, and it gives everything just a much better outcome. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this yellow on, starting from the front. Now that we're done with the antiquing process, most of the colors I'm spraying for the base part of the body are all going to be sprayed from the front, going back, so they don't fill those pockets up where the black paint's sitting. You only want this paint to be on top of the scales and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. And you just want to kind of start light, and then you can come back and add more if you want, just to get the right amount on there. And I'm not worried about the fins on top. Basically, they're kind of getting the same colorations as the rest of the fish, so anything that fades up into that, that's just less paint I have to put on it later. I'm going to go ahead and put a little on the gills too. Just a little bit lighter than the rest of the body. I'll flip it over and do the same thing. And now we have a yellow bluegill. Next, I'm going to take this medium bass green from Polytranspar. This is a paint brand that's kind of based around taxidermy. You can find it on Mackenzie.com. I think it's Mackenzie Taxidermy Supply. Van Dyke's. There's a few different taxidermy. If you search taxidermy supply places or look up Polytranspar paints, they make a lot of good water-based natural colors you can use for fish, as well as other taxidermy items like deer and things like that. So now that I've got this medium bass green, it's kind of dark. I'm just going to put a light coating over the back and just a little bit, and basically kind of get that base green color that I want for this bluegill. And I'm going to put a little on the cheek, gill area as well. So I'm going to start on the back and go a little heavier. You can kind of see how that green changes that yellow. I'm going to take some white, some pearl white from Createx now, and I'm going to spray it on the belly and kind of carry it up over the sides and a little on the gill plate, just to give a little bit more of a sheen to the fish, and it doesn't have that harsh contrast to the white belly. It's not going to show a huge difference, but it will make a difference in the end. All right, next we're going to take some of this opaque orange from Wicked, Createx Wicked colors, and I'm going to go ahead and spray some of this on the belly area, kind of up closer to the head, right along the gills. You can kind of make your own stencil or a guard to keep this from getting overspray everywhere. I'm going to try to do it without it. I've done it before. I've kind of gone back and forth. Just start real light and be careful with it. Actually, for this step, I'm going to take it out. So this isn't acting as a shield, this helping hands. I'm going to take it out and hold it back here, and I'm going to kind of paint it like that. It's real light. You don't want to get real heavy with it. You can always go back and add more. think that's good for that side. It's okay if you get a little bit of overspray on the gills, because we're going to come back in with some of that blue here in a little bit. All right, next I'm going to take some of this sky blue. It's just another one of those generic Amazon paints. I've got a bunch of different blue colors. I'm going to try this one and put it on lightly and see how it goes. I'm just going to lightly go along this edge, kind of up towards the ear and a little bit towards the mouth, and I'm going to put just the lightest little touch of it on the bottom lip. So like I said, as usual with this, if you're trying to do it without a stencil or without a guard, be easy. I faded up the gill plate just a hair. I'm going to try to get right around the edge of it so the orange isn't coming up over the top. I can get it to come out. All right, let's get that other side. So we're looking at a basic kind of starter for bluegill right now. We've got the green that kind of fades to yellow down the side. We've got the orange belly, and we got the blue on the gill area. All right, next I'm going to take some of this generic Amazon ochre color, and I'm just going to lightly spray it over the orange of the belly, and then I'm also going to kind of hit the tail section back here on the bottom and just kind of slightly fade it up. I don't like the orange being so bright. I think it's going to be a little bit more natural. With that ochre color, like I said. And also with this ochre color, I'm just going to give that top fin just a little bit in the back, just a little bit of a dusting. Nothing crazy, just to give it a little action. All right, next we're going to be adding a little bit more detail. We're going to go back with this opaque black from Createx, and I'm going to do several things here in one step. I'm going to darken up around the eyes. I'm going to hit this side fin a little bit. I'm going to use a homemade stencil to get that ear, and I'm also going to put some barring on it. For the bars, I'm literally I just ripped a little strip out of this, and it's going to allow me to hold this up there and feather that black line. It's not even going to look black when it's done. It's going to be very light, but I'm going to feather that line down. And then I just took a piece of clear stuff. I've used this before, but took a piece of clear plastic, traced out that ear, and I'm going to use it to paint the ear black and kind of feather the black out so it's not such a sharp look. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the eye first. Before I do that, I haven't turned this pressure down the entire video, and I think I'm going to for this step. I know a lot of people like to spray real low and stuff. I've been spraying 60 PSI this whole video. Now I'm turning it down to 40, and it seems like it's nothing. Darken that eye in. Get this stencil. Now what I'm going to do with this stencil is I'm going to hit it with the black, and as soon as I start to see that black go on the ear, I'm basically going to stop, and that's going to paint the edge of that ear black, and then it's going to kind of fade it slightly into the rest of the gill area. I'm going to try to do it without covering up the That's not too bad. So there we go on that side. Go ahead and do the eye and the ear on the other side. There we go. Now I'm going to take this same black opaque paint, and this is just a piece of cardstock, or a piece of, yeah, it's like cardstock printer paper. And one thing you can do, I don't have a pencil handy right here, but if you want to do it, line by line rather than making a stencil that does all, 4, 5, 6 bands, however you want to do it. If you want to do it line by line like I'm about to do it, you could come in with a pencil lightly and just kind of draw in where you want the lines while you're looking at it. That way, you can get them all lined up the way you want. I'm just going to kind of go for it here and see what happens. I'm actually starting with the closed end of the line at the top, and I'm going to go right past that ear, and I'm just going to hit it at the top darker and then let it fade down. Just the slightest little bit. I'm going to go just a hair darker. You want to go just a little bit at a time. That way you can, if you decide you want to add more to it, you can. There's the first band. And I'm going to do another one right before this gap. Make sure they're straight up and down. Perfect. And then I'm not going to do it yet. I'll show you here in a second, but I'm going to kind of blend the back end of those bands with a little bit of this darker color. And there we go. That's it for the gills. Now we're going to go over the back a little bit with this same black. And slightly fade down on the sides. You're going to wind up with something about like so. Alright, just to breathe a little bit more life into this, I'm going to take some of this metallic purple. It's also one of those generic Amazon paints. And I'm just going to put a little bit, of it, kind of hold back more so it's more of a broader spray, and just kind of just lightly mist the sides on both sides of it. Gonna give it a little bit of a purple sheen in the right light. Carry that down just a hair. There we go. I like that. I don't know if it's picking up on camera or not, but all right. Next, the painting, as far as what I'm gonna do to this bait, is pretty much done. What I'm gonna do next, though, is I'm gonna take some of this pigment powder. It's Pearl X is the brand, and I'll see if I can link it in the video, because this is stuff I use for taxidermy, or as far as painting fish replicas and stuff. It's good for scale tipping and things like that. I'll see if I can't link it for you. Now what I'm going to do, typically you'd be applying this with a brush, or some people put it in some sort of liquid to kind of turn it into a paint. I'm actually just going to use my finger, and I'm just going to dab the tiniest little bit and get it stuck to my finger, and I'm just going to lightly go across the back and touch just the tops of the scales. I'm not rubbing it in, and I'm just going to go down to the lateral line and then kind of blow off some of the excess. Yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah, that gives it a nice little touch. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. is, finished up with, it's just got UVLS on it now. I haven't put the final clear coat on it, but you get the idea. You can see the different colorations, that purple coming through and the pearl on the belly. It has a pretty nice look to it. I'm just saying, if I was a bass, I'd eat it. All right, here she is all finished up. Yeah, if you like what you see, hit the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I'd love it if you'd consider subscribing to the channel. I'd like to grow this channel and keep putting out tutorial videos and bait videos, fishing content, etc. So I appreciate you tuning in, appreciate all the subscribers so far. I'm getting ready to do a bait giveaway here soon, this weekend. So good luck to everybody on that. Thanks for watching the LETR G Custom Baits. I'm Joe Gentry. We'll catch you next time.